known by its map designation as Area 51.
We're now learning Area 51,
known as Area 51.
Thank you for
Near
clearing
Area
that up.
51.
Thank you.
Known as Area 51.
Because Area 51 is very important.
They called him Jimmy, and everybody wanted to be his friend.
What's good? What's good? Welcome here, Area 51 here with your host Jimmy. Another day in the jungle. Subscribe here in Golden Era, give us a like, and also share our content. And visit our webpage, goldeneraboxing.com, for all those who want to learn more about boxing. We have everything available for you in English. You can translate it in English, and we also have most of the content in Spanish, so you can check it out. All right, so let's get to the business here. Well, here we go again. Apparently, the New Year Mag has said that Crawford and Spence are in negotiations right now for a possible fight that's going up June 17th. But I was looking at other news, and apparently Mike Coppinger said that Gilberto Mendoza had already allowed the Errol Spence to go up at 154 to fight against Keith Thurman, and the fight with Keith Thurman, according to Mike Coppinger, is going to be sometime in April. So after that fight, Errol Spence is going to have 60 days to make that fight happen, or I guess they're just going to give him a new mandatory, or he's going to have to fight one of his mandatories. So this is a very weird situation for all parties involved. I feel really bad for Crawford. I have been a Crawford fan for a long time, but that doesn't actually blind me. I was a fan of Keith Thurman for a long time, but he kind of blinded me. So it's not that, I'm pro Crawford. It's that I just feel like Errol Spence is doing to Crawford what Tyson Fury did to Usyk. And this is typical with these type of fighters, where they either put rehydration clauses like Canelo. They, ask for ridiculous purses that don't make any sense whatsoever. Everybody's going to watch these two fighters because they're fighting for undisputed, and these fights are never made because one of the parties involved doesn't want to fully negotiate, and all they do is accuse the promoters. But as I said many times here, and it's verified, you can go to any promotional company and ask him who has the last decision, and they're going to tell you that the boxer has the last decision. They're the ones that sign the contract. The promoter might choose the fighters, but the fighter signs the contract. I'm so tired about this garbage about promoters. They promote fights, bro. That's all they do. It's advertising. That's it. The fighter cannot be pushed or forced to fight. That's actually almost considered rape if you do something like that, because you're basically telling the fighter, you need to fight this guy, this guy, this guy. A promoter cannot do that unless the fighter agreed and signed up for it. Okay, so in my opinion, Spence never wanted to fight. He was calling Keith Thurman, and I know Keith Thurman ducked Errol Spence. There's no doubt about that. But when Terence Crawford went to that division, Errol Spence was quiet. Okay, he wasn't the tough guy anymore because Terence Crawford wanted all that meat and he wanted to fight him. Okay, and Terence Crawford has never avoided anybody. Right now, he's fighting a mandatory with Alexis Rocha for the WBO. But to be honest with you, that's not, he only took that fight because right now, not even Jaron Ennis wants to fight him. So he is in a really tough position. They were offered a fight with Jaron Ennis, apparently. And Jaron Ennis was offered a fight with Terence Crawford for an opportunity for a world championship. And Jaron Ennis said that they didn't want the fight right now. So, Terence Crawford is being played around by all PBC fighters. Keith Thurman didn't want him. Danny Garcia didn't want him. Danny Garcia didn't even want him at 140. Mikey Garcia has never wanted Errol Spence. Keith Thurman. Terence Crawford. He would rather fight Errol Spence than fight Crawford because he lost in the amateurs with him. And he knows what Crawford can bring to the table. So in 140, everybody was scared with what Crawford did with Victor Postol when he was in his prime, and he was a pound-for-pound fighter. People forget that. So it's very interesting how this is all panning out. And, one of the things that bothered me about this is that Crawford accepted the 35-65 split, but then that wasn't enough for Spence. Why? Because there's no guarantee split now. Okay, so there's no guarantee split, or no problem. But now there's no transparency and the expenditures that are going to be in the fight, which could be anything. So they're not even going to show Crawford what he was spending in the fight, and you have to pay everybody, and they weren't even too willing to do that. So all these bullshit excuses from Errol Spence and his camp, they didn't want the fight. That's just point blank, period. And not only that, but they were willing to give Ugas a 55%, or a 50% or a 45%. That's what you receive in the split. I mean, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. They didn't even consider Crawford to be the backup of Manny Pacquiao, which would have been a great fight. And it's never been about the promotional company, because Manny Pacquiao skipped and didn't want to fight Crawford either. And they were both in top rank, because in the end of the day, the managers, the promoters cannot find the fight if the other fighter doesn't want to fight. So that's what happened with fighters like Demetrius Andrade. And at the end of the day, they can't. Nobody wants to dance with him because they know they're going to look bad. So what they're going to do, they're going to duck him, right? Just like they're ducking Usyk, just like Bivol is ducking Arthur Beterbiev right now. So the game goes on and on. Another one is Murahon Amaliev is ducking Undisputed Championship with Fulton. Nobody's talking about that either. So this is the way the sport is right now. And Crawford knows that he's going to beat Errol Spence. And if you don't believe that, you can also check the betting in Vegas. Most people have Terence Crawford beating Errol Spence. I believe he will. I believe he'll stop him, actually. But Errol Spence is in a really tough position, because if he moves to fight Keith Thurman right now, first of all, that fight makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense. But the only way he could get that fight if he signed up for it. That's first and foremost. Once he moves up to 154, I highly doubt that he's going to be able to make 147. So it's a waste of time, in my opinion. And he's not going to go 154 to 147 against Crawford. I mean, that's going to weight drain him. That's what it does. So it's just, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. He's going to fight Keith Thurman apparently in April. He's probably just going to stay in 154. And I think, if anything, Errol Spence is looking for a possible fight with Canelo Alvarez, which is what he wanted to start with. He planned that a long time ago. He always mentioned Canelo Alvarez. Like, Canelo's not even in your division. Oh, yeah, I would like to have a fight with Canelo Alvarez. It wasn't Terence Crawford the one he would like to have a fight with. It was Canelo Alvarez, right? And that would suck, because Canelo Alvarez now could say, okay, I'm not fighting David Benavidez. Fuck that. I'm not fighting, Demoro Jr. or I'm not going to fight Andrade. But you know what? I'm going to take a challenge with Errol Spence. Oh, my God. He's so good. Look at him. He's a champion. And this is the type of shit that people, that would be terrible if that would happen. I would not give any credit to Canelo Alvarez if he fought Errol Spence, to be honest. That would just be disgraceful, to be honest. I mean, that's just taking advantage of the sport, calling fans stupid in their faces. But a lot of fans would take it. Like, a lot of fans would take it in the ass, without anything, It's just crazy how boxing is. So let's see what happens. It would make a lot of sense if they negotiate the fight. They're going to make more money than a fight with Keith Thurman, who's disappeared since he fought Mario Barrios, who came up for 140. I mean, the whole deal doesn't make any fucking sense. And listen, I spoke to Terence Crawford's camp. They've been open with me. I did an interview with Steven Nelson. I published it as well. And they told me everything. They were really transparent of everything. I can't say the same thing about Errol Spence. I try to call them. I try to contact them, call a gym. Nobody wanted to talk to me. So you got to be hiding something in the end. You got to be, and what you're hiding is your vagina, which is leaking, because that Terence Crawford's going to beat your ass, and he's going to make history. He's going to be undisputed championship. He's going to have an undisputed championship at 140, 147, which would put him in the golden era age, as when there was less divisions, because one championship equaled welter at 147, 140. That's a true welter. He would have conquered the whole division, old school days. So that would be incredible for Crawford, and he would have to be pound for pound the best fighter in the world, and he would do that just beating Errol Spence. But you know, this is what happens when fighters like Errol Spence start going with this garbage of 80-30s and 80-20s and giving excuses and excuses and excuses again. Listen, bro, I don't believe this fight was going to be made. To be honest, I think it's a waste of time, and I think you're wasting your time just believing that this fight could be made. I mean, but at the end of the day, Errol Spence does not want Terence Crawford. It's that easy, and nobody in PBC wants Terence Crawford. You know, they just think they must all believe they're going to lose. That's what it comes down to. That's why you don't fight these type of fights. Anyway, this is my opinion. Give us a like here, subscribe, and let's see what happens. And also check our webpage, goldenotboxing.com, for those who want to learn more about boxing. Peace out. Get to the next video and to the next.